Hi guys, so today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful jewelry stand. It's for my bracelets. There are a lot of steps to it, but it's very straightforward. I've never made it before, this is my first time, so if I can do it, you definitely can too. So you'll need a box. I used half of a perfume box and I kept that foam padding inside just to keep it sturdier. And then I have some cardboard tubes. Now the cardboard tubes I got from my rolls of vinyl. They're very, very sturdy. So I just took those out of there. And I have a pool noodle and I have some adhesive velvet paper. And you can use any paper or fabric you like. So the first thing I did was I measured out 2 lengths of the pool noodle, just the same width as the perfume box. So I just drew the line and then I just cut the 2 pieces of that. The next thing I did was I got the narrower cardboard tube and I inserted that inside the pool noodle. Now this will help the pool noodle not bend because it naturally will bend. But with this you can stack the bangles on and it's so sturdy and strong. And I found that roll just fits perfectly inside. If you don't have a tube that fits perfectly inside, then I suggest you roll up some paper or a really thin magazine and squash it into the pool noodle. It's really going to help you in the long run. And then the other tube I'm using as the stand for the, for the noodle part. So I'm just measuring how tall I want both of the stands to be. So I want a shorter one in front and a taller one at the back. Now I'm just playing this by eye, so I'm just estimating, I'm just looking at it and seeing what feels good for me. So you can do what feels good for you as well. And if you have a bigger box and more bangles, then you can even make 3 rows of these and just make them different heights. As long as there's enough space between them, you're fine. You can do any height difference you like. And then after that, the next thing I'm doing is just finding the middle of the pool noodle. And you want to get this as accurate as possible because it's going to make the finish look so good when you're done. And I'm just getting the center of the noodle and tracing the circle, the width of the tubes. And then I'm just going to cut out that piece of foam from there. Now earlier on when I put the other cardboard tube inside, this is the second part that it helps with this project, with it being so sturdy, is that it now gives something for the other cardboard tube to stick to. So once you've done that, now you want to figure out the spacing for the bangles. So you want to figure out where you're going to have them. So just to get the exact middle as well, the center, I just stuck the stand into the noodle and then found where it would sit, for it to be in line with the box, if that makes sense. I'm sure you can see what I'm doing. So yeah, just figure out where you're going to place them. And again, just draw the circles. Now, it's better if you cut the circle smaller than you need it than if you cut it wider than you need it. Because obviously, if you cut it too small, you're going to be able to push the tube in and it's going to be very snug, which is what you want. If you make it too wide, it can be a problem because then it's not going to be as snug. So I'm just cutting the hole as small as I can get away with. And then obviously, because I've left the lining inside it, I just have to also cut the plastic on the other side. And you should have something like that. Now the next step is I'm going to cover everything in the velvet. So I've taken everything apart and then I'm going to cover everything separately with the velvet and then reassemble it. So with the tube stands, I'm not going to waste fabric, paper and cover the whole thing. I'm just covering the exposed parts of it and just a little bit on either side. So that's why I measured that. So when I covered the first noodle, I left just about an inch on either side of paper. And I realized later on that that was a mistake, and it actually looks better if you leave at least 2 inches on either side of the pool noodle. But it's fine, you know, I still left it as it was because it looked fine. But if you want it to look really good, just leave at least 2 inches on either side, and you'll see later why. Then also make sure that the lines where your fabric or paper will overlay is on the underside of the tube, so that you won't see that part. And then once you've done that on either side, just go ahead and snip the fabric into strips, and then you're going to push that in. And this is why I said cut it longer, because if it's longer, it'll actually go all the way in and it will stick to the cardboard tube, which is a lot better, and that will last a lot longer than it sticking to the, you know, the foam. But it looks fine, you know, it doesn't look bad, so I just kept it. Yeah, fold that in and just do it one by one and lay them over each other, and it gives a really good finish. So with this one, the second one, I did the 2 inches on either side, and it makes so much of a difference. Again, when you're cutting the tabs for the hole where the other tube will go into it, again, cut it smaller than needed, as that will just help make the whole thing sturdier in the long run. And finally, the last thing I have to cover is the base. So I'm covering the sides first, and because my paper fabric is not quite wide enough to cover the top, I'm just going to bring the sides up just a tab, and I'm just making sure that's the same on either side, so that even though you're going to see the bump when I put the top fabric over it, at least it will be even on both sides. It'll be symmetrical, so it will look intentional. And I'm just snipping the corners out of the paper, just so it gives a cleaner edge rather than overlapping any paper fabric. I don't know what this thing is. I don't know if it's a paper or a fabric. It feels like a fabric, but it's on paper, if that makes sense. It's very confusing. But the neater you can make this, the better. Now, if you want to go a step further than I did, which I didn't go a step further because this is just for my personal use, but if you want to, you can cut out a square for underneath the box to cover that hole, you know, at the bottom of the box. You can go ahead and do that, you know, cover that in the velvet fabric as well, and close it off, as it were. I'm just rubbing that edge, that corner, just to give it a sharper look. And then I'm just going ahead and just cutting small slits where the holes will be. Again, I'm cutting it smaller than I need it. Next, we're going to assemble all the pieces. So I'm just putting some glue inside it. Again, you don't want to get any glue anywhere near the edges, because that will just ruin your finish. And you don't need much glue. This is really sturdy even without the glue. And the next thing is you just stick those in. Now, I'm not gluing them because there's no need. And what do you think of it? I think it looks amazing. It's so sturdy, guys, and it really looks like a real jewelry stand. It doesn't look like something you just slap together. Let me know what you think, guys, and I hope you try this out. Remember to like the video if you like it, and subscribe, and share the video as well to your friends. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.